Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to participate in some small way. I'd first like to thank Shannon Reynolds, the commander of the American Legion Post 104, recognize the 82nd Airborne Color Guard, All-American, Mayor John Dorn for being here, and for the music provided by the Montoursville High School Band and its director Adam Wright. Thanks also to Reverend David Smith and Father Mano for the inspirational words provided on this most sacred of days. And of course to our friends, family members, and fellow service members who are with us today. A few weeks ago, while at a rest stop, returning from training with the Pennsylvania Army National Guard at Fort Indiantown Gap, a Vietnam veteran approached me and he thanked me for my service. We chatted for a few minutes by the coffee machine, from subjects like the War on Terror, Desert Storm, to the Veterans Administration Hospital up near Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. And as we talked, I wondered, how can he, a veteran of the Vietnam War, be thanking me when the reverse should be true? How can all of us express the gratitude due him and his fellow veterans for their experiences, their challenges, their sacrifices that they made? And just as importantly, how can we best honor those who fell in the defense of the nation on the faraway battlefields of Southeast Asia? I think as soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, we don't seek the glory in public. We are frankly embarrassed by the attention paid to us in some respects. We shy away from talking about what we do. We don't serve for these reasons. We serve because we have the undying commitment and dedication to defending and protecting all that we hold dear and true. The protection of our loved ones. The belief that we can and will make a difference in the world, to help in lifting out of the darkness those who suffer in the darkness through simple acts of valor and sacrifice. That we will guide, shelter, and protect those with whom we serve to ensure that they too can make it home. This is why we serve. This is why they served. Those who gave the ultimate gift to our nation, their blood. We are gathered today to recognize and honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our nation, those fallen angels who have passed into the eternal mist of time, to be remembered by their teammates, their friends, their families, and a grateful nation. And amidst the joyful celebrations that usually mark the start of summer, with the gathering of friends and families, the picnics and the parties, amidst these we choose willingly to dedicate a small measure of our time to remember those who gave the full measure of their devotion, whose actions allow us to enjoy the great freedoms and liberties we hold so dear to our hearts. And today especially, we wish to remember the veterans of the Vietnam War and those who fell there. Until recently, the longest war in U.S. history, that sought to carry out the vision of John F. Kennedy when he stated that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty. The Vietnam War can be marked by several turning points, years that define the war in the eyes of those fighting it, and for the society which was witnessing it upon the American television. I ask that you turn your focus to three defining years. 1963, 50 years ago. The United States found itself at a turning point in its efforts to confront the evils of communism. 10 short years after the Korean Armistice, the United States committed itself, and more importantly, those who made up its military, to its brothers in arms in South Vietnam. Approximately 16,000 served as advisors to the South Vietnamese military in that year. At the Battle of Ap Bac, 3 of these advisors fell. It marked the beginning of increasing U.S. efforts in that faraway land. In 1968, 45 years ago, the United States found itself at another turning point. U.S. military troop commitment reached 500,000 in Vietnam. It established the high water mark of the U.S. commitment there. During that year, the 77-day Battle of Khe Sanh, from January to April, saw U.S. Marines defending themselves against 3 North Vietnamese divisions. 18 Marines fell on that first day in January. The fight for Khe Sanh would continue until Operation Pegasus cleared the route to Khe Sanh. During the Tet Offensive, U.S. military forces scored an absolute victory over the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong, even as the American public questioned the wisdom of our involvement. The battle for Hue saw U.S. Marines and Army units, alongside South Vietnamese forces, fight for 26 days to recapture the areas taken by the enemy during the Tet Offensive. And after 3.5 years, Operation Rolling Thunder, the air bombardment of North Vietnam ended. 818 pilots died or went missing. Hundreds were held in captivity. In 1973, 40 years ago, the last combat soldiers left South Vietnam. Of the 3 million Americans who served in the war, 58,000 fallen angels made the ultimate sacrifice, and 150,000 Americans were seriously wounded. These 3 years helped define the Vietnam War. They recognized the long commitment of America's military in Southeast Asia. And the men of Lycoming County made their commitment and sacrifice as well. According to records kept by the Lycoming County Office of Veterans Affairs, there are 16,417 veterans of all wars dating back to the Revolution buried in Lycoming County. Lycoming County has answered the call. On the west end of Williamsport in Newberry lay the Lycoming County Veterans Memorial Park, which recognized the fallen of the 20th and the 21st century. The Vietnam Monument, dedicated in 2001, has inscribed upon it 43 names of those men of Lycoming County who gave their all. I went there again recently to remind myself of who these men were and see for myself who they were. Their names are familiar. If you live here, you probably know someone with the same last name. Derwachter, Tice, Schlee, Griggs, Hipple, Merrill. Just a sprinkling of the etched names. Why did these men fight? What motivated them to risk all? We will never know for sure. Perhaps a letter written by a young soldier named Joseph Santoni gives us a partial answer. Upon his death, Joseph Santoni's fiancée received the letter he had written just prior to his deployment to Vietnam. In it, Joey said, "Vietnam is a test of the American spirit. Vietnam isn't a far-off country in a remote corner of the world. It is Sagamore, it is Brooklyn, it is Honolulu, or any other part of the world where there are Americans. And most people never think of their freedom. They never think much about breathing either or blood circulating. Freedom, like breathing and circulating blood, is part of our being. Why must people take for granted freedom? Why can't they support the men who are trying to protect their lifeblood? Freedom. Patriotism is more than fighting or dying for one's country. It is participating in its development, its progress, and its governmental processes. It is sharing the never fully paid price of the freedom which was bequeathed to us who enjoy it today. Not to squander, not to exploit, but to preserve and enhance for those who will follow after us." I think Joey Santoni understood the meaning of sacrifice, and so should we. On this Memorial Day, let us remember and honor the memories and sacrifices of those who have gone before us, so that we too may assure the survival of liberty and preserve the freedom for future generations. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America.